Hey guys, it's Fiona Whitten from Oakville Crafts. Today I would like to share with you some projects that I have designed, which if we were doing Card A Cuppa this month, then this is one of the projects, I'll say, that we would have done. I hold the events on the first and third Wednesday of each month over at the Grange Chocolate Cafe at the Holme Grange Craft Village, which is near Wokingham in Berkshire. And it's a turn up and make a card event. So everybody gets the same kit and they then get to make a card, either following the 3 designs that I have made, or they can go off piste. It's entirely up to them. So they all get the same thing. So I'm going to show you, so these are the cards that I've made, but I'm just going to show you the kit first. So typically this is a kit that people get. So there's an envelope, which I don't need at the moment. There is a base card. This is Night of Navy. So it's A4 cut in half to make an A5, and then that's folded in half to make an A6, C6 card front. This particular card has a very vanilla innie, and then depending on what I'm doing, there is usually some designer series paper and some pre-cut die cuts. People get to do punching on the day because punches are far easier to travel around with than a big shot. So in this one we have, this is Pretty Peacock, so that measures 6 by 14.9. This is some of the new Brightly Gleaming designer series paper, and I don't know if you can see, but it's copper foiled. It's very pretty. So it's copper foiling on one side and then just a plain, say plain. So this is actually quite a busy design on the other. It's just a printed design, I should say. So yeah, so there's 12 sheets, 2 of each, double-sided, and so there's 6 double-sided. So this is one of them, and it's copper foiling, and it's designed to go with Mossy Meadow, Night of Navy, Pretty Peacock, and as I said, very vanilla. So that would be a piece that we would just simply put on. And then I've also included, these are 5 by 5 centimeter squares. So this is another one of the paper. There is a large Night of Navy, I'll just say Stitched Shape Framelits. So this is the largest square, and that's the next size down. And then 2 5 by 5 centimeter squares of the paper. So that's got that on the side. So I should say, so that's 6 centimeters by 14.9, and then that's 5.5 centimeters by 14.9 if any of you want the dimensions. So that's basically what the kit for these cards includes. There'll also be some scrap for some stamping. And what I really wanted to show today is the use of negative space. When we all make cards and we're die cutting and we're punching, it's usually with an aim because we have a shape in mind that we want to die cut or punch out and then put on our cards. But we forget actually that negative space is just as good. So this aperture is actually the negative space. And I just wanted to show that you can fill it with something else, be it designer series paper, cardstock of a different colour, and just make more use of all your cardstock rather than throwing it away. So, I mean, normally what happens is every punch is out and they get as many bits to punch out as possible, and then the excess gets thrown away. And that's all well and good, but I thought I would actually make use of the negative space in these cards. So wanted to design 3 entirely different looks. They're all, as I said, the same actual cards. Cards started off in the same way. So for this particular one, I simply glued the cardstock and then the paper. The ornament punch is the new ornament that's part of the Gleaming Ornaments punch packs. There are actually 2. So when you're using negative space, the idea is to remember the size of your card and what you're using. So this is the smallest punch in the punch pack, and then that's the other punch. And I decided actually this is a really nice punch to make a complete feature and just use that solely on a card. This is a smaller and is designed to go with the Christmas cleaning stamp set. So both of them are designed to go with the Christmas cleaning stamp set. But this was more the size that I wanted to use because I knew that I could actually fit it in that small square. So normally what I would do at home is I would punch and then I would die cut. When we go to Card A Cuppa, I do all the die cutting in advance. So I don't tend to take the big shot with me because basically it's far too heavy to carry. So in order to get this punched in the right place, what I did was, because I actually did it on these, if you take your reverse side of your Very Vanilla and then with a ruler just work out the middle, and then you can use that as a focal point to punch around. So that's one tip for you. And if you find that obviously trying to get this into the punch and lining it up is not that easy, so the trick, and it's something that I share at class and I'm sure a lot of you are already aware of it, is to use a sticky note. Use that as a handle so you can then get it in the spot that you want and not have to worry about it. So that's also a good way of using up all your scraps as well. So anyway, so yes, I punched the ornament shape and then I glued on all of them the reverse side of this piece to the back, and then put it onto the Knight of Navy squares. So these 2 I've put on straight. This one, you can see I actually put it at an angle. I did think about using the copper foiling side, but it just kind of made it a little bit too busy. So that's why I went for just the plain printed side. So this one, it's simply glued, strips are glued on, paper glued behind, and then the Knight of Navy has actually got foam pads underneath. So I've put that on at a 45-degree angle and then put the other piece on. So that was that one. This one, again, very similar except for the fact that rather than gluing this centerpiece, I actually popped it up on dimensionals. This was square on, and then I also stamped this Merry Christmas, which also comes from the Christmas Gleaming stamp set. And then this one is, so they're basically on the same theme, but 3 completely different looking cards, so with exactly the same supplies. And then what I did on the inside is I punched the ornament again, and then with this piece, the other little square that we've got, I just placed that so that it was so that it featured and it kind of looked so mirror image, so it's sort of square on. So that was that one. That one I decided I was going to put the ornament in the middle, and then that one I simply obviously put it in a corner again rather than the middle. So those are the 3 cards that I would have made and taken with me to show people, and which they could then go with or do their own thing. What I want to share with you is something a little different. So I have my kit. So I have what is it? My Very Vanilla square, my Knight of Navy square, my cardstock, my strips of cardstock, strip of paper, my Very Vanilla Innie, and then I have the 2 squares. But actually I'm not going to use those. Instead I am going to use this piece, and what I'm going to do, and I've done this earlier, is I'm actually going to punch 3 ornaments out directly from the cardstock. So that's what I did, and to get it so that they're all equidistant and stuff like that, what I did was I took my cardstock and on the back of it I drew lines. So I know this is 6 centimeters, so that line is drawn at 3 centimeters. I know this is 14.9, but let's call it 15 for the sake of argument. So I drew that at 7.5, because being 0.5 millimeter out, I really don't think it's going to make that much of a difference. And then again I drew a line in half again. So that means that when you come to punch, you just simply line up your punch. So you have the top of the punch and the bottom of the punch central, and you just punch through. And obviously you can move it up or down as much as you want. I mean, we could, on this one, we could go nuts and just go, okay, I don't want it level on that one, so that way, and then that one can go that way again. It's almost level, but not quite. So when you come to make your card, and that's going to have to go landscape, you're going to put the paper behind so that you've then got the ornaments showing like that. Now you're not going to be able to get these in exactly the right place so that they're all the bits are central. So what I suggest you do is simply get the middle one central, and the others on this particular one actually are followed pretty closely. So you're then going to glue, so you need to glue the back of the cardstock, and you need to follow the outline of the punch quite closely. She says, oh, put that bit there. I don't know, has that gone through? Yeah, let's just wipe that off. And then because you've used glue, hopefully this has stayed in focus, you can then move this around to your heart's content until it's kind of where you want it. Now it will mean that you need to fussy cut. So it was a bit there. So you will need to, sort of fussy cut, but trim. So you will need to trim here. Depending on where you go and what paper you use, depends on how much you actually need to trim off. That's it. Now I've got glue on here, which is not good. I do have a glue eraser. Sometimes you can just do it that way. But anyway, so that was my other idea, to do something like that. If I was at home, I would probably go and see if I can find some copper foil and put that as a layer on. But of course I'm pretending to be at Card A Cuppa, so maybe I would have taken that with me. So that's just another way that you can actually use the negatives. It's just to, rather than concentrating on one, you can concentrate, you can actually do it on 3. So this is my my scrap Very Vanilla. I have a Merry Christmas, which, as I said, is from the Christmas Gleaming stamp set. Now I have a very juicy Pretty Peacock. Don't know if you can hear it, and it's bubbling, but I'm not worried about that because this the new ink has anti-foam solution in it. So actually when you come to stamp, you will find it will stamp perfectly. Now this, as I said, is a very juicy ink pad, so if you find that certainly on these block type stamps where effectively it's the negative that is going to be the sentiment, then what you need to do, and a lot of people say, oh yeah, just get a paper towel, but actually if you get a paper towel and dab stuff off, then you lose stuff. So if you just get an old credit card, a gift card or something like that, and just move the ink up out of the area that you want to use, so you don't actually remove an awful lot, you've just spread it to a different area. And then she says when you come to re-ink it, it's not as juicy, and it should give you, except for the fact that I managed to make a bit of a boo-boo on that one, a perfect, I'm going to go that way now, image. So, and then all I'm going to do is simply cut that out with a pair of paper snips. Now I want some very vanilla showing, simply because I want it to stand out a little. So I am roughly cutting it out. I will go back and trim a little bit because that end looks a bit tatty. So I actually want that to be seen, and then I will probably just put that on there. So that's the start of my thinking process that I would do for that. So I hope you've enjoyed seeing these. I hope it's given you some food for thought when it comes to using negative space, and the fact that you can use it to your advantage and make a really nice feature of it in your card making or paper crafting, whatever it is that you're doing. And that's it. Go and have fun. So happy stamping, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.